afternoon, good evening, depending where you are, and welcome to the Jags cast. Joining me today, I have Donald32, we have Raz Jag from not so sunny Lanzarote.
I know it's nice today.
Standard Scottish weather with you.
Aye, pretty much.
Alan Fraser from his Ronnie Corbett chair.
From sunny Partick Hill.
Partick Hill. And also, possibly the most famous Austro-Hungarian since Franz Ferdinand. Balatoni, the legend that is Conrad Balatoni. How you doing?
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Working in that one, Dave, yeah?
It came to me in a flash of inspiration last night.
We refer to Conrad as a cult figure, Partick Thistle cult figure. Is that correct? More than legend, do you think?
Me, yeah, I'm not legend.
No, 157 appearances in red and yellow, or various colours of grey, unfortunately, and 13 goals. Pretty good, pretty damn good.
I'll take it.
Right, so we've got some stuff lined up today. What I wanted just to start off talking about was Hearts. Obviously, you'd moved to Edinburgh at a young age. You'd been a Hearts fan. You'd lived the dream, joined the development team, and then came to us on loan in 2010. Mm-hmm. How did that come about?
So, when I joined Hearts, Neil McCann was still a player there, and I got quite pally with him. And I actually signed up with his agent, and Neil was really pally with Jackie Mack. And when Neil left Hearts, he phoned me and he was like, I think I've maybe got you a club to go on loan. It's Partick Thistle. I was like, all right, okay, cool. Neil then spoke to Jackie. Jackie spoke to Ian McCall. Ian McCall invited me over for a couple of days training, and then I played in a bounce game at Lennox Town against Celtic. I think we actually beat them. I think it was it must have been a reserve team or something, a mix of 19s and reserves at Celtic. And I actually played quite well, and he subbed me after about 70 minutes. And as I was coming off, he looked at me and went, "You're no bad player." And then next thing I know, I'd signed. I think it was the day after, and I was, travelling through there with Jackie every day. So it kind of all happened through Neil McCann and Jackie Mack, to be fair. But I think Ian McCall takes all the credit for it.
Yes, he usually does. But anything's going well.
So 25 games and a goal, back to Hearts, and then back to us for the next season. Again, just Jackie coming after you saying, "Come and join us."
Yeah, so was the second season, was it when Jackie was in charge? I can't remember if it was when. Did Ian McCall get released in my first year?
Yeah, he was April, wasn't he?
Yeah. So Jackie, I was really quite pally with Jackie, and Jackie kind of highly rated me. Well, so he told me in the car every day. So when the time came, I kind of knew I wasn't probably going to be in the Hearts first team plan as much as maybe I could have trained with him and maybe been in a couple of squads. I probably would have never played. And at that time, I think I'd maybe just turned 20. And I thought the best thing for me is to go out on loan and get another 20, 30 games under my belt, and then maybe come back and see what the situation was. So Jackie obviously took me back over. I think I stayed there until for the first 6 months. And then I went back to Hearts, and Jim Jeffries was basically, I think this was when Hearts were having all the money trouble. Yes, and they said to me I wasn't going to be part of the squad, I wasn't going to play in the first team, and they wanted to release me. So they shipped me off and trained with 4 of the lads, which is just kind of a common theme in my career. So I ended up training with a couple of other lads who were kind of told that they weren't going to be playing or were getting released. I think I signed a payoff agreement at the end of January, and I maybe waited a couple of weeks to see what was out there because I was a free agent. Yeah. Jackie came back and said to me, "Look, we want to sign you again. We'll get through this season. We're going to go for promotion the season after." And I thought, "Oh, this is really good." So I agreed. I think I'd signed for, 50 quid a week from February until the end of the season, and then it was to be reviewed for the next season. So yeah, that's all what happened. And then at the last minute, United came in for me, and they offered me actually quite good money. I think it was Brian Reid maybe was the manager.
Yeah.
If my memory serves me correctly. And I think they were still in the Championship as well. And they offered me a contract, and I was like a bit like, oh, it's like a lot better money, like at the age of 20, than 50 quid a week at Partick, I thought. And then me and Neil sat down and we had a discussion, and basically he said, like, you better sign for Partick because you've given your word, and you know, it's a better opportunity for you to stay full time. And I was like, yeah, like the bigger picture was there for me. So I signed there, I think it was in February, and then, you know, I signed again in the summer.
Excellent. And also then a good decision to go and play
Yeah,
at a
absolutely.
championship
Yeah,
team.
What my life would have been like if I hadn't, you know, just taken that plunge and signed for that, you know, small contract, and, you know, got myself on my feet. And then, you know, I really felt at home probably there with Jackie, and I really enjoyed it. And I thought this club could go places with Jackie at the helm, and, you know, with what he wanted to do with the club. And, you know, the club wasn't very well ran prior to Jackie coming in. I think everyone kind of knows that. It was, you know, from top to bottom. It wasn't just on the playing side of things. You know, you even look at the pitch and stuff like that, and the way the pitch was, you know, it was like a cow field majority of the season. So, you know, even just getting that sorted was a massive difference to the whole club.
Conrad, how did it feel kind of back at that kind of teenage years when you're leaving a massive club like Hearts? You know, you've been there for a long time. Because obviously you must have had expectations of trying to get into the first team. Was that a worry for you?
Yeah, it wasn't ideal. You know, you grew up at Hearts. I mean, I signed a pre-contract at the age of 15, knowing that I was going to go in full-time football. I thought, all my dreams have come true. I'm going to play for the first team. I thought I was good enough. I mean, looking back, probably wasn't ready physically and stuff like that. So, you know, there's probably reasons why that happened. But at the same time, when you left, I thought, do you know what? Now's an opportunity that if I do step a level, I can play, and if I play well, I'm at a good age where I could potentially go get a move. Whose dog's that?
Sorry, I think.
Oh, sorry, it's a dog. 2-3 apartments.
Nah. So yeah, I personally thought it was a good chance for me, because a lot of people probably went and played at that level when they were younger and got moves. I think you looked at a lot of the Falkirk players that were playing at that time who went and got good moves down south, and I thought, you know, if I can go and do well for a season and a half, you know, there could be a potential here that I could go and nick a move. Never happened, like, so. It's that was my thinking about it. That's one of the reasons why, you know, I signed for Thistle as well, because I thought it was a good stepping stone for myself.
Good stuff.
Cool. Right. So, Andy, you have, from that promotion-winning season, a couple of key highlights of Conrad. You've got the Morton game and the very, very famous Airdrie game.
Yes, we do. So, there's lots of highlights back then, wasn't there?
There's millions.
Just kind of pause this one. So this is obviously the Airdrie game. Hold on a wee minute. Get this to work properly. So if you remember, that was we're a goal down and we scored a couple late on.
Mm-hmm.
What was your memories of that, Conrad?
So I actually remember, like, I'd probably made the mistake for their goal. And I always remember that we always, as much as we beat them like 7-0 in one of the games previous, they were always quite a tough side, and we always kind of seemed to struggle against them. I mean, remember Squiddy had to score an absolute wonder goal to beat them at home, and then we beat them. What was it? I can't remember the other score when we played away from home, but I don't think it was.
Did we not draw?
It was one each.
So we always kind of, as much as we battered them 7-0 one game, all the other games were really tough, and I think we knew that it was going to be a tough game again. And then I kind of messed up for the goal. I sliced a clearance. It was pretty bad, and then I thought, oh no, this is terrible, because all our hard work that we'd done against Morton was probably going to be undone. And I thought, even if we can nick a draw here, and then obviously we got the corner, and it kind of hit off my shoulder, and just it managed to find its way in. And then literally I thought, and it was quite infamous that I was running back and I was pointing, get the ball. And a lot of people say that to me, you know, like scoring and then just turning around saying, get the ball. And then, you know, that happens with Christie, and then, you know, just the joy and the seeing the fans and you look at everyone just all over the place just celebrating it. Even Foxy.
Well, that's the point at which Raymond and I are jumping up and down in the stand, and I slipped and fell down the stairs, and Raymond grabbed my jacket. Otherwise, I was
That's
going
right.
head first.
He was coming down to see you, Dave, Conrad.
It was. I think when the final whistle went for that game, I think we knew that we were going to win it, and we thought we were going to win it after Morton, but we still thought if we slip up here and Morton are on our tails, then it's still going to be difficult. Whereas this game, beating us, it maintained our lead in front of them, and we knew from then we only needed to get I think it was one win from the last 3 or 4 games, I think it was, and we knew we would get that.
It was the way that we got the equaliser, and everybody just went straight back up the park, got the game started again to go for the winner. You know what I mean? We didn't settle for the draw that day, and that was why when we actually got the second goal, everyone went absolutely nuts. The timing of it was perfect.
Yeah, it was. In that season, we had a real winners mentality, and that was just because we were winning every week. We were used to winning. We had boys that wanted to win this league and to get themselves up to the Premier League to prove a point, and literally no one gave up. I mean, even we scored a couple of other goals against Wraith Rovers on just before Christmas as well. And I think there must have been maybe another couple somewhere. But yeah, we absolutely just never said never. We had a kind of never say never attitude, and we just kept on playing until the final whistle, and that's something that kind of helped us probably win that league.
And it is actually true. I was looking back because something in the back of my head said, I remember Conrad wearing the number 8 jersey in a game. How did that happen? So I'd messaged Thistle Stats, and Big Stato came back and gave me all the details in the game. So that game, when I watched the highlights back, we were 1-up. Dunfermline came back to 1-1, and they battered us for about 10 minutes. But it's a game that we ended up winning 5-1 because you just would not give up. Mm-hmm. How did you end up with the number 8 jersey, Conrad?
So if you remember, I never played for the first 9 or 10 games at the beginning of the season. I was suspended for the first 2 games. I picked up a yellow card against Hamilton in the last game of last season, which absolutely killed me, which I didn't realise. So they went on this unbelievable run, and I thought I'm never going to get a chance here because they just keep winning, blah blah blah. And then next thing I know, I got put in against Cowdenbeath because Archie was feeling maybe a wee niggle or he needed a rest or something like that. And I think I played really well, and we beat them 1-0, got to the final of the Ramsden. And then Archie was still struggling, I think, against Edinburgh, and then we beat them 7-0. And I thought, do you know what? It's probably the 2 best games I could have had. I think I was one of the better performers against Cowdenbeath, and then winning 7-0, you can't really drop anyone. And I thought, if he drops me against Dunfermline here, I know that I'm either going to be third choice and I'm never going to be able to get a run of games, or he's going to stick by me. And I knew he was going to put Archie back in, so I thought, what's going to happen here? And then he kind of came to us and he went, look, I'm going to change something slightly. He went, I'm going to put Sodge right mid, and I'm going to put Aero right back, because Aero had played right back for Annan a few times. And at that time, he was like, they'll probably think that we're playing 3 at the back because we've got yourself, Aero and Archie back in, and they'll think we'll set up 3 at the back, and I'm going to spring a surprise on them. And I thought, all right, fair enough. And obviously by that time, Aero kind of cemented number 5 as his own. Archie was always going to be number 6. And I think because Banzo was suspended, someone said that number 8 was the only jersey that I could take. Yeah, but I thought, I'll be a sweeper centre mid for a day. But I think I'd actually played with number 8 for a few games after that as well.
That was the one that I remembered. On that game, Foxy was number 1, Stevie O'Donnell wore 2, ATS had 3, Pates had number 4, obviously Aero wearing 5, Archie wearing 6, Stevie Lawless wearing 7, you wearing number 8, Jules at 9, Ross Forbes wearing the 10 shirt, and Erskine wearing number 11. Back in the days of 1 to 11 team shirts.
What a team!
So basically, it was the only number I could get.
I would have thought Pates might have taken the 8 and given you the 4, but I suppose 4 was his.
That was it. Pates was always the number 4, though, wasn't he? So it was. I wasn't fussed, to be fair. It was just a number. Although the tops were so baggy, it was a joke.
Yes, I've got a couple of those tops, and they're all extra larges.
See the day. Sorry, Davey. See the
man.
day of the Airdrie game, Conrad. Am I right, Davey? You'll probably remember this. I'm pretty sure Morton were playing Dunfermline that day, and one of them scored a late equaliser, and it finished 2 each down at Capello. And that kind of pretty much meant we only needed a point, wasn't it, for the title?
I think so, yeah. I think that's kind of why we went in, because we knew they had dropped points and we had furthered our lead against them.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, because we were saying, like, even if we'd got beat, if they had won it was pretty much back to where it was before the Morton game.
Yeah.
I thought, well, there's no. I say this to this day. There's no point beating the top of the league if you're in a 2-horse race and you beat your competitor, and then you go and lose the next week and they win. It's pointless beating them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think everybody else as well forgot. Actually, we got so lost in having beat Airdrie that there's no love lost, Conrad, between Thistle and the Thistle fans and Airdrie fans, that we actually got to relegate them as well. But it took about 2 days before anybody realised.
Yeah, it was good, because we knew then that literally, I think we had to go to Wraith. Was it after? I think we played.
I think we'd Wraith Rovers in midweek.
Yeah, and we needed a win, but we got a draw, and then we beat Falkirk, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Falkirk,
right,
yeah.
Very, 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 very clear in my memory, the vast majority of that day at Falkirk. Certainly until I get home. Okay, we're going to move on. So we get to the end.
I was just going to say, David, just before you do,
go on, man.
the Falkirk game, was that when they started doing the conga and singing Conrad's name?
Yes.
Yeah. It was, wasn't it?
Yes.
Because there was a big conga line behind the goal in the stand where all the Thistle fans were, and I think once we got to 2-0, perhaps, is that when it started up, after Squiddy scored the second?
Yes.
And the big conga line, and obviously I don't know if that was the first time they sang the Conrad Balatoni to the conga, I don't know, but certainly this is certainly the day that I really remember it,
Yeah, I remember seeing it behind, because obviously when you're playing in our second half, we were looking on to that stand, and you just seen everyone just jumping about and like doing the conga, and I was just like, oh, this is going to be mental, because I knew we'd won, because it was 2-0, and I thought we're never going to let a 2-0 lead slip, and even if we do, we'd still have won, because we only needed a point. So I just knew, like, oh, this is going to be unbelievable, like the feeling at the end of this game and coming out and celebrating with the fans, because it was the stand behind the goal, and it was pretty much half the stand of the main stand as well that we had. It was just what a feeling it was.
I must say that's been driving me nuts all week though. Ever since Raymond said you were going to be on, it's just been in my head. I'm standing outside supermarket in my queue, we're all like and I'm whistling the bloody conga.
The other thing I remember about that day was, Conrad, I don't know if you'll remember this, but Gavin McBride and Greg Kane, all us boys for the Woody, had actually, Gav, I don't know if it was his wife or his mum or something, had got a flag made up, and we gave that down to you, because we were at the side of the dugouts, and that. What we didn't realise was Gav's flag was going to be plastered over every single TV article, newspaper.
All those photographs. Yeah,
that's Gav's claim to fame.
It got a bit messy after the celebrations.
Well, we have seen some of Donald Wilson's photographs. Well, certainly the ones he was allowed to publish. But no, the whole Kids First Experience thing was an incredible season.
Yeah.
And we went up into the Premiership. You and Aero was the first choice, 2 centre halves. Were you nervous, or were you confident, or is it just, how did it feel?
Yeah, you were nervous, because I knew during the summer that Archie was trying to bring in another centre half, and you didn't know whether or not it was to replace you or whether or not it was to, play alongside you. So you were a bit like, like, I've done all this work. Am I going to be playing here? Am I going to be on the bench? Or what's the situation? Luckily for me and Errol, he pulled us both in. I think it was a game after we signed Gabby Piccolo, I think it was, or it was something like, we had quite a few trialists coming, and he pulled us in. He went, "Look, guys, I know you probably weren't like thinking, why am I bringing on all these trialists?" And he was like, "But just to let you know, you guys are going to be my first choice centre half pairing for for the beginning of the season. So don't worry, just get your heads sorted and don't worry about if you're not playing in any of the friendlies you guys are going to be playing. And that kind of settled us down probably a little bit. And then I think, you know, we started off in probably the best possible way, having a clean sheet against Dundee United and coming up against probably one of the league's best strikers in David Goodwillie, knowing that, you know, if we could keep a clean sheet against them, then, you know, we could probably do all right. You know, we get bad games and stuff like that, but at the same time we were still learning. And it was nervous. You weren't used to, you know, playing against the better players. You know, you're still young. We still didn't really have that experienced head. You know, I was only maybe 22, 23 at the time of us getting promotion, and Aero was only a year older. So, you know, we're still learning our trade and still having to play with, you know, Sinky and Sod either side of us, and, you know, not much experience between us all, and, you know, having to come up against boys that had played at a good level for a number of years now. So, yeah, it was difficult, but, you know, it was a challenge that I think we both relished.
Was there a moment that season when you thought to yourself, I've arrived, this is my level, I'm comfortable? Was there an opponent you had against, or a memory or something?
Nah, I think throughout that season I had to kind of prove myself. You know, I think we didn't have an amazing season. I never thought we were going to be in trouble of being relegated. I know we were close to the drop, but I thought with the teams that we played, we were better than. I think if you guys remember, you know, for the first 3 or 4 months of the season, we absolutely annihilated the majority of teams by playing football. We just couldn't score goals, and we were losing goals, and we were conceding. It was really poor. And I just thought, you know, if we could kind of stop losing goals and start scoring, then we'd be absolutely fine. It took us a little bit longer than what I thought it would, but, you know, we got there in the end. And it was only really until the second season that I thought, right, I found my feet here now. Like, I know what this league's about, and I'm more than comfortable playing at this level.
Just looking at some of the highlights which I'm going to just share just now, if that's not going to work, I'll edit it in later. But some of the football we were playing at the beginning of the season, especially, was really flamboyant football. It was great, lawless and cool. But what was your kind of memories of the boys in front of you?
They were, I think, the first game against Dundee United kind of put us on the road to the way we played. I remember, like, Welsh having an unbelievable game. He was pinging passes 60, 70, 80 yards. You know, we absolutely, you know, we played really, really well. And then there was another game that we played Hearts in, and we absolutely, like, dominated them from start to finish. Got a late goal, and then Jamie Walker produced a bit of magic and, you know, scored a goal off the post in, like, the last minute. But, you know, we just had players that, you know, knew how to play football and wanted to play football and wanted to go and show how good we actually were against the best in Scotland. And it was only probably after Christmas, you know, we kind of figured that we had to maybe change our game and, you know, mix it up a little bit more, because we weren't getting the results that probably our play deserved.
Was that one of the things, Conrad? Was there times, especially before Christmas, it did tend to continue for about a season and a half, losing late goals? Was it just the fact we were probably trying to play too much football instead of maybe shoring up the game?
Maybe, yeah. Maybe it was just, you know, that lack of concentration. Maybe we didn't know how to see games out, even though I always kind of said that was a bit of a cop-out sometimes, because, you know, we'd seen games out the year before. We knew exactly what we had to do. Yeah. We won the league. You don't win the league without being able to see games out 1-0s, 2-1s, etc. So, you know, I always kind of said it was a bit of a false statement that. I just think, you know, better players, when they got that one chance at the end of the game, probably took it, whereas in the season before, you know, they didn't maybe get that chance because we stopped it further up the pitch, but teams were better and they were able to get through maybe what we were doing. But, you know, at the end of the day, we managed to do what we set out to do. We stayed in the league. You know, we could have potentially finished, I think it was 8th or 7th, I think it was, if it wasn't for a Craigsy own goal. So it's one of these things, you know, we've done it the hard way, you know, although as much as we've done it the hard way, you know, we've done it in the best possible way away at Tynecastle, one of the most famous stadiums in Scotland. And for me personally, it was like, you know, brilliant, you know, keeping ourselves up and on a team that let me go. So, you know, it kind of worked out for me quite favourably.
That was a fantastic night again, that one. I mean, we were struggling the first half as well. We were 2-1 down at half time. Not playing particularly well, but we blew them away in the second half. It was fantastic, amazing, and some great goals.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I remember correctly, they scored first, and then we equalised, and then they scored again through Callum Patterson again. I mean, he was just a goal machine, I think, that season as well. So we went into half time. We thought, do you know what, like because we'd thrown away a lead in the last minute against Hibs on the Saturday, and we went to Tynecastle on the Wednesday.
Yeah, back at Edinburgh.
Like, we've just thrown this chance away, and we came in and we thought, like, we got a bit of like a, I think Archie was, you know, like, come on, like, we can do this, like, go out there and just, you know, give it all. And then I think we went in, and then I think, did Gaz Fraser score the second?
Yes.
Yeah, Gaz Fraser and Lee Merrin and Higgy. You know, as much as Hearts probably played a weakened team, you know, they didn't play their full strength, I think, especially like they had Jamie McDonald not playing in goal. So, you know, these things all maybe worked in our favour, but at the same time, you know, still beating Hearts at Tynecastle 4-2 and securing safety, it was probably a memory that will live with me, you know, throughout my days.
Yeah, I mean, that game, there was only one team in it after we'd equalised. When we got it back to 2-2, it was us, and we were all over the top of them. It was an exceptional
what was the bus journey home to Glasgow? In fact, you would have been on the bus.
I literally lived like 2 minutes away. I think, did I have a flat? I don't know if I'd maybe just bought my flat in Gorgie, just up from Stratford's. So I might have just walked home. So yeah, it wasn't a. I think actually.
You never thought I'd get on the bus for the party and then come back home again after, no?
Yeah, I think the gaffer was quite relieved. I think everyone was relieved, to be fair, because, like, you know, it was one of them things. We didn't want to be a one-season wonder going up and then coming straight back down. So we knew that we had to kind of take things. And I think the gaffer gave us a Thursday off, and I think a few of the boys went out on the Wednesday night, and, you know, I think I certainly did, just to celebrate, you know, staying up in my first season. You know, we'd set out what we wanted to do, and, you know, knowing that we were going to play the next again year in the Premier League was kind of, you know, wanted to celebrate it, really. So yeah, it was. I think the boys had a good journey home and then a good night out anyway.
What about some of the players that season? Just when we look at the highlights, there was a few standouts, like Callum Higginbottom. He was on fire that season, wasn't he? We obviously brought in Lyle Taylor. What kind of difference did they kind of players bring to the team?
Massive difference. I mean, Higgy was unbelievable that season. I mean, I was so surprised that Higgy never got a move in the summer after that season, because he was just, you know, his stats were unbelievable. He was so good that, especially that second 6 months, he was unbelievable. Lyle Taylor just brought a breath of fresh air. I mean, you see how well he's done now down south. I mean, this is no disrespect to Duels or any of the other strikers, but Lyle had the whole package. You know, he could run in behind, he could hold it up, he could finish. Duels was one of the best finishers I've ever played with, and one of the best technically gifted players. But what he lacked was probably that little bit of pace, which when we were at the bottom of the table, we needed that little bit of presence up top to get in behind teams to stretch them, and Lyle gave us that. And I think, you know, it kind of complemented our team well, because as much as we could keep the ball for fun. We know we could do that, but when we needed that little bit of, you know, pace and behind, he gave us that, and, you know, it made a massive difference for us.
Yeah, superb additions. We're gonna fast forward slightly. I'm conscious of the time, so we get to the end of 14-15 season. If memory serves me correctly, we're away at Motherwell, and it's a horrible nothing each draw. I don't think you played that day, but you certainly came out at the end and came and applauded the fans, and you were away. Did you have the chance to stay? Was that the wanderlust, or was it just do something different?
Yeah, so the reason I never played that game was because I woke up and I went down to the shops to get some food, and my knee was agony. So I thought, what's going on here? And I'd spoken with Archie, I think that week leading up to it, or the week before, and I just said to him, and at that time we had Dan Seaborn, we had Freddie Franz and myself, and a young Liam Lindsay coming up through the ranks, and I wasn't on much money compared to like Dan Seaborn and Freddie Franz, but I'd played pretty much more games than any of them, and I was pretty much a mainstay in that team throughout that season. When we finished, I think it was 8th. So I spoke to Archie and I said, look, what's going on? And he went, look, I want to keep you, but I can't offer you the money that you probably deserve to have. And I said, well, look, I've been here 5 years now. Maybe it's time, I'll look elsewhere, because, I don't want to be playing every week, playing probably better than what the other two were playing at that time. Maybe I'm being a bit, biased here, but I thought I was probably playing as well as the other two, if not better.
Yep.
And I've certainly played a lot more games than them both. So I thought, why should I not get the money that I deserve to play?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't asking for big bucks, like ridiculous money, but I was asking for what I thought I was worth to the team. And he just says, look, the board's not going to sanction me giving 3 centre-halves a better contract, like good contracts.
Yeah.
I says, well, look, maybe it's time to look elsewhere. And he went, well, what's your plans? Well, to be honest, I was desperate to go abroad, and I've made that well known that my ambition at that time was to go abroad and play in a different kind of continent or in a different country. And he says, well, look, as long as you don't play in Scotland, that's absolutely fine. Like, you go my blessings and stuff like that. And I thought, right, that's absolutely fine. It is time maybe to move on. I've had a really good time, and everything's got to come to an end. So I thought, like, now is probably the right time. So that was when I knew that I probably was going to leave. And, unfortunately for me, it just didn't work out the way I wanted it to.
Yeah, unfortunately, Santorini doesn't have a football team.
Exactly that, yeah. I enjoyed my holidays, so I'll tell you
that. From memory, you played a trial game for Bradford. I think you played a trial game for Dunfermline or something similar as well. And then in the September, you signed for Kilmarnock.
So the situation was, I was trying to get abroad, and the agent had signed up to, I'd met him probably in January thinking, that there's potential here that I might not be staying. So I need to get myself sorted and looked after, stuff like that. So we're speaking and saying, look, and at that time, I'd had a good CV. I'd played 60-odd games in the Premier League, kept them up both years, won a promotion. I thought, if any time for me to move on is probably the best time for me now, because I've got stats to back myself up and stuff like that, and all that type of stuff. So I thought, like, now's the best time. I'm going to get a move abroad. And he was like, I agree with you. Like, I think it's time for you to move on. I think, with the way that you've conducted yourself in football and, your experience that you've got now at still a young age of being 25, 24, 25, whatever it was, he thought, I've got a good chance of maybe getting a move somewhere and making some decent money. Because I thought, for me to make myself some decent money, I wanted to go abroad and, settle there and, learn a different culture and stuff like that. So as months came on, things weren't happening. I thought, what's going on here? And I was like, this is a bit strange. And then nothing was happening. I thought, right, okay. And I knew Bradford were coming up for a pre-season training camp in Scotland. I thought, right, let's try and get themselves in there. Because at that time, it was when Andy Davis, I think it was, had signed for Ross County. So I knew they were looking for a centre-half anyway. Yeah. So I was like, let me try and get myself in there. So I managed to get a friend to speak to the manager, and he invited me along for training. I went and trained, and I'd done well, and then I played a game against Motherwell, and I'd done well again. And I thought, I potentially could make a move here. He invited me down for a week's training, and then he, I'd done well again, and played in a bounce game. It was all right, and I thought, I could potentially, come down here, like, get myself sorted here, and maybe not play, but be part of the squad and get myself ready for maybe the second half of the season, because it's a lot more physically demanding. And he pulled me and he just says, I don't think you're physically ready to play down south. I just don't think you're big enough. And I thought, well, I can't really change my height or my build, so what chance have I got? Which, when I went down to Torquay, I realised what he was saying. The boys down there are all 6'3", 6'4", and I thought, well, maybe that's, these guys have got certain people that they want to play at certain positions, and they all just want big 6'4" centre halves who can just head it and kick it. And I probably wasn't that player at that time. So that fell through, and I thought, oh, what's going on here? At that time, Dunfermline were obviously in League One, so they contacted me saying, could you come and sit on the bench? We've got an injury. I thought, right, okay. They offered me a contract. It was not bad. I thought, well, I don't want to go from Premier League to League One and take a two-tier drop. I thought that's not what what I left Thistle for. So anyway, so I went and sat on the bench for them and just thought, I'll get myself back in training. And then next thing I know, Kelly was struggling obviously massively, and I got my agent spoke to Gary Locke, and Gary Locke brought me in because I'd had Gary at Hearts.
Yeah.
And then it was the first international break, and by this time I hadn't had any pre-season, so I'd literally come in off maybe 3 or 4 training sessions with different teams. So I hadn't had a base level of fitness, and I had to batter myself in training. And luckily it was between me and Gavin Gunning, and he decided that he wanted to sign me, and then I signed for Killy. And then the rest is kind of well known what happened.
Do you want to mention Lee Clark? I was going to just give you some statistics. Before Lee Clark joined Kilmarnock, he was the manager of Blackpool, where he won 3 games in 33. During his time with Kilmarnock, he managed to achieve 9 wins in 40-odd games. And following his departure from Kilmarnock, he went to Bury, where he won 9 games in 30-odd.
Well, I think the stats speak for itself. So I'll give you a little bit of it. So basically,
cool.
Gary Locke got sacked. I played really well the first few games that I'd been there. I got myself a longer term contract, and it was actually on probably the money that I thought I probably should have been on.
Okay. Cool.
So Lee Clark came in and changed the whole kind of training regime, moved training from mornings to afternoons. So we were travelling through from Edinburgh to Kilmarnock is an hour and a half at best. So we were travelling through in the afternoon, coming in, and then we were getting hit on rush hour traffic on the way back. So it was we weren't getting back until maybe 6, 7 o'clock at night, and it was just this is ridiculous. Anyway, I was really unhappy at Killy, and it was because of the travelling, and I wasn't enjoying it, and I got on well with a few of the lads, but I wasn't I didn't have that connection like I did with Thistle. I thought, this isn't for me. I'm not enjoying it here. And I was speaking to my agent. I was like, look, I think maybe in the summer, if things go well, and we keep them up, I'll let's try and see if I can get somewhere else, because a bit closer to home, and we'll take it from there. Anyway, word got back to Lee Clark, and I think from there he pulled me in, and just things weren't good between us. And I remember in the playoff game, so bear in mind, I'd never had a pre-season, and I'd played every game, and I'd played 30 games that season without having a pre-season game, without having any friendlies. So I'd literally been thrown into the deep end, got my match fitness in competitive fixtures, and at the time, the last couple of games, I was done in. I was mentally drained, I was physically drained, and I was making. I think there was a game on TV up at Inverness. I made a couple of mistakes, and I got subbed, and I just thought, I'm absolutely knackered here. I can't do it. Lee McCulloch was having a go at me, and I pulled him one day, and I just said, look, I says, there's no need for you to speak the way you're speaking to me. We're all in this together. We're in the playoff zone. Give everyone a bit of confidence, and just 2 games to save ourselves in the Premier League. There's no need for you to come in and bawl and shout and make people feel belittled and stuff like that. And and then I said to him, look, I'm physically knackered here. And I think he went and spoke to Lee Clark, and then literally what happened was we came in for a training session when they went around for a walk with a bacon butty around the park or around the sea, and I thought, I've just travelled in an hour and a half for walking around the park when I could have done it at my own home and rested, which is what I needed to. And it was the day of the Scottish Cup final of Hibs and Rangers, and I was walking back. I had the game on my phone, and I was just watching it. I was just dawdling, because I'm not a quick walker. And apparently Lee McCulloch turned around and was to Lee Clark, look at that joker over there, he's no part of this team and stuff like that. Next thing I know, I got pulled into the office, and Lee Clark just went, I don't want you coming in tomorrow. And I went, this was the second leg of the game. I'd been put on the bench for the first leg. And he went, I don't want you coming in for the second leg. And I went, why not? And he went, it's just a footballing decision. I went, all right, so you're telling me that I've played 30 games, you put me on the bench, and now you've just told me that I'm not even in the squad, and it's footballing decision. I went, yeah. And I went, all right, okay. So I literally just never came in, watched it on the telly with my mates, and then obviously we got promotion, and then that season he basically told me that I wasn't going to be in his plans for the next again yet. I thought, brilliant, that's fine. I'll take a payoff and I'll go somewhere else. and he was point blank refusing for me to take a payoff with Kilmarnock. So he started bringing me in at like 8:30 in the morning to train by myself with a sports scientist. So I was training 8:30 in the morning. I was then having to train with the under-20s, and then I was having to do a gym session. I was doing triple sessions before 12 o'clock. I wasn't able to go anywhere near the first team, and he put me in a changing room all by myself in a in a porter cabin. So all the players that I didn't want, like they were all kind of like leaving every month or every other week, like Higgy and stuff like that, getting payoffs. He was point blank refusing for me to take a payoff and leave, and I was quite stubborn. I was quite happy just to sit there and bide my time and wait for the right opportunity. Bearing in mind, and then pretty much the last day of the transfer window, they phoned me and then my agent, they went, "Will he take some money?" And I was like, "Of course, that's all I wanted, like just a fair, pay me what's fair, and I'll leave, and I'll go with my head held high." And they were just trying to break me. And people that know me, I'm mentally quite strong, and they would have never been able to do it. And I would have, if the worst case scenario, I would have done that for the full season or until he got sacked. I knew he would have got sacked or he would have left because he was a disgrace. He was a joke, and the whole club was a joke at that time. So it was just happened to be that Ian McCall came back in for me and offered me good money for being part time, and I thought, I just need to go back and get myself back playing, and potentially if I go and do well with Ayr. He said to me, "Look, my plan is do well with Ayr, keep them in the championship, go full time, and I'll offer you a longer term contract on full time wages on a good contract." And I thought, I want to do this. I need to get out of Kilmarnock. Yeah. I didn't realise Ayr was further than Kilmarnock, so the travel.
Geography not your strong point, Conrad.
Yeah. We were playing abroad.
We're also aware of like mental health issues in society these days, and obviously there's been some high profile football players that have suffered really badly from that. To treat a human being like that is a disgrace. What kind of support did you have around you at that time to handle that? I mean, that's nothing. That's straight out bullying.
I had, with regards, I didn't have any support, to be fair. Like I had my mum and my mates and stuff like that, and I'm really close to like Craigsy, Welshie, and all that type of stuff. So I'd speak to them, Higgy, and like they'd always like have my back and just like stay in there, stick in there, everything's going to be alright. I think at that time I had my missus as well, which she didn't really understand football at the time, but she was always there for me as well. And at the same time though, I was getting paid the most I'd ever been paid in my career, and I was like, well, I'm not going to cause myself to get my contract ripped up without any money. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was just a bad situation to be in. I really hate it, and I wish things had maybe been different. See, if I'd signed for them at the beginning of pre-season, I'd had a decent level of fitness at the first year, things maybe have been different. But I think it's because I'd went there and it was literally, I had to go there. It was the last opportunity I had. If I didn't take that, I would have been, probably out of football until January at least. I thought, this is it. I've got to take this opportunity. It wasn't my first port of destination. I didn't want to be there, but I had to take it to provide money for myself. So, I took it on the chin, and just things never worked out. And I wish things were a little bit different. I wish the club would maybe ran like they were now back then, because I think things could have potentially been different.
Yeah. And the last 2 years, Conrad, you've been playing for Edinburgh City, and combining that with your own career. Are you enjoying Edinburgh City? Has that been a fun adventure?
Absolutely love it. Yeah. Probably, if I'm being honest, the most I've enjoyed football since I've left Thistle. So I've always said like my best days in football were with Partick Thistle, and I think everyone knows that. But Edinburgh City, as much as it's different, it's part-time, the boys are unbelievable. I know a couple of the lads from, playing against them, playing with them when I was younger. So, I've got a good relationship. I've got a good relationship with the manager, who was my assistant at Falkirk. I've got a good relationship with the chairman and stuff like that. They've really helped me, and, they've helped me settle in. And ultimately what it's done for me is it's made me, less travelling for football, which is what I've done throughout my career. I'd always travel to Glasgow, to Falkirk, to Kilmarnock, to Ayr. And then when I went down to Torquay, I was always away from home for long periods of the day. now I'm able to kind of focus on myself and my business and life after football, while still, you know, enjoying it and having that desire to, you know, help the club do well.
Disappointed not to be in a playoff?
Yeah, I think it just so happens to be that, you know, every year that we've done well, there's always been Peterhead, Clyde and Cove, Rangers this year. So, you know, hopefully, you know, I think last year we just ran out of steam, bit of inexperience as well on, you know, the club's part and the players' part, because, you know, they've been used to fighting relegation, so they weren't used to what it took to, you know, win the league and get promotion through the playoffs. You know, we thought, you know, even if we didn't win the league this year, you know, credit Cove, they're a great squad and great team. We thought we've got a right good chance of going up through the playoffs, and it just so happens that this virus is kind of taking that out of our hands, and, you know, we'll when we get back, you know, our focus will be on winning the league next year, and hopefully we'll be able to do that with, you know, with the squad that we've got.
Fantastic. Right, a couple of old-fashioned shoot questions for you. Best player you've ever played with?
Let me think. On technical ability or just all-round player?
Whatever you think. Whatever your imagination says.
I don't know. It's hard because I don't think I've played with one best player. I've played with a lot of good players.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's different attributes, like Welshie, like probably most complete midfielder I've played with. You've got Duel's the best finisher, Lyle Taylor, like one of the best strikers I've played with. Higgy, one of the most, you know, influential in games, can create something out of nothing. So yeah, I wouldn't say there's a best player, but there's a collective group. And I know that's probably not what you wanted to hear, but that's my answer.
I think that's fair enough.
Right, best opponent, best player you played against.
Who have I played against? You've got the likes of like Andy Robertson, Ryan Gold, who were Ryan Gold absolutely annihilated us in that game where we got beat 4-0. I think I got sent off in.
I got sent off as captain.
Yeah, as captain. Yeah, and then did Banjo get sent off as well for
that? No, I think he got picked. Can't remember. I need to go back and check. I did my research. So you get 2 yellows.
The likes of Ryan Gold, Stuart Armstrong, Gary Mackay-Stephen, they were in there at that Dundee United squad, were unbelievable. And I mean, like, Ryan Gold was an absolute disgrace for his age. He was so good. And then you've got the likes of Celtic boys who have been, you know, unbelievable. Scott Brown, unbelievable. Virgil van Dijk, obviously, just oozes class. Like, every time you play against him, you just knew if you're putting it in the channel, you thought you're literally better just giving them the ball, because he's just going to get there. He's never going to, you know, he's not going to be beaten by pace. He's not going to be beaten by strength. So when I was playing the right hand side, I thought, if I need to put this in a channel, I'm literally just giving Celtic the ball back, and I just look like an absolute idiot. So, but you got to do what you got to do. So yeah, like Virgil van Dijk's probably up there with the best players that I've played against.
And probably the last one is best moment in football.
Best moment would be winning the league, probably. Yeah. And like it's the best moment. So like the days after that as well, you know, like winning the league, and then you go and you get the trophy. So you go out like 2 or 3 days after that, and then you know you play your game against a firm, you get your trophy. You go into the Star and Garter with a trophy, and you celebrate
and get filmed singing. Yes, it's the evidence.
Yeah, get filmed singing, and then after that, you know, you go and you've got the PFA awards, and you're all there as a team. You know, you're getting absolute steaming with your mates and your teammates, and then you go into the jumping jacks, was it? And you're celebrating with the fans, and you know, not a lot of teams would probably do that, because you know they'd probably want to go to a club and celebrate with themselves. We were all like, you know, we'll go with the fans and have a great time. And it was just, and then even like after that night, in singing all these Thistle songs, if anyone was there, we just stood there like in the streets at 3 a.m. in the morning, just
screaming. Yeah. and a clean sweep of Player of the Year awards as well, if I remember rightly.
Correct, yeah. No, I don't know how I got that. That was, I don't know. I've always said that's probably from my Twitter antics that year, so I'll take it because they're up under my mantelpiece. But yeah, it was nice to be recognised. I mean, as much as I had a good season, at that time I was still making too many mistakes for my liking, and I think only after that, and probably the second year in the Premier League, is when I probably started, coming a bit more mature and, reading, like being more experienced and stuff like that. And, now I probably don't make any mistakes in games. If it's due, it's very, very rarely. Alan
Fraser, any questions for Conrad?
No, it's just been really interesting. But he touched on his Twitter feed there a second. He's not been tweeting very much recently, but there is a couple of choice ones from a couple of years back that maybe have another look at later on. Just wondering, has he still got the video of the Ladyboys Willie?
No.
Fair enough.
What happened
Raymond,
in Thailand?
No, absolutely. Raymond, what do you want to ask?
I was just going to ask Conrad, not necessarily the most important, but what's the one goal that sticks out in your memory that you scored for Thistle?
Let me think. I'll always remember my first goal, Stirling Albion away. Mm-hmm. We were in a centenary strip, I think it was.
Yeah.
I remember, but I think my most important, the one I enjoyed the most was probably, I really like, obviously for obvious reasons, the Edinburgh goal. That was special. The Hamilton goal was special because that was a tough place to go. But I think for pure joy and emotion, probably the Dunfermline header.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I have to say. That's the one.
The Dunfermline header was probably like.
Me.
Yeah, it was probably the best. Just the way it went and what it meant to the fans and what it meant to the club and the team. It's probably my most special. But I think my best goal, like technical wise, is probably my goal against Aberdeen.
Yeah.
Mezzo's taking an absolute shank. I've touched it, and then I've swiveled and left-footed it into the bottom corner. So and that set us up on a really important 3 points.
Yeah.
That was a great game, actually. It was a very surprising game to win that, but there you go.
Yeah.
Right, well, Conrad Balatoni, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Conrad.
I was going to just quote a Daily Record article which described you as erudite, and I was surprised that the Daily Record knew what the word meant, but thanks.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Cheers, Conrad.
No problem. Good to see you all.
Cheers, mate.